Hi, well today I'm going to have a look in our flow hive for the first time this year, although I did have a little sneak about 4 weeks ago to have a look when I put the brood minder at the top of the hive. There's a lot of bees. You can see all around me now there's a lot of bees, a lot of activity. It's about 20 degrees, 21 degrees today, so it's a good day to have a look. I am prepared to put on the super if I need to, although I've got to say I'm concerned that the super, it's maybe a bit early because the temperature from the brood minder is telling me that they're not quite sitting up in the brood zone okay. And the other issue with having a flow hive super on here is that I really need to use a queen excluder because I don't want the queen to start laying up in the flow frames. She probably wouldn't, but I don't want to run that risk. The issue with that, of course, is that it's too cold for the bees. They're all going to move up into the flow frame and they'll be able to fit through the queen excluder and fit up into in the flow frame and keep themselves warm up in the huddle at the top and leave the queen down below where she'll freeze to death and die. So I'll make a judgment and see what's there. I guess one of the deciding factors if there are any queen cells starting to make shape or anything like that, but I'll have to have a look now and I'll see what it's like and I'll go from there. Okay, let's have a look in and see what we can see inside. I'm not too sure if you're going to be able to see me okay from there, and maybe my head will be cut off, which isn't that important. You may not be able to see too much from here, but hopefully you can hear me okay, and we'll see how we go. Okay, you can see on here that I think we're running out of room. We've got a lot of comb on the top filled with nectar and also on the top there, so I think I might have to try that. Try and get them to go down the hive a bit for me, get off all this top. I'm going to have to pull all this comb off. It's got a bit of a mess. Not very happy with it at the moment. Okay, I can see I've got a queen cell forming down the bottom, so these bees are getting ready to swarm. I think I've caught them right at the beginning. I can just see the queen is before I This is a chock-a-block. So that was a very full-on or intense 30 minutes. As expected, what I found was a lot of bees and a lot of comb in the top. So essentially there was a lot of brace comb and a lot of comb actually on top of the frames that was all full of honey and capped even. So everything was full. There was 2.5 frames full of brood and very good tight brood pattern. with very little space left in the hive. There was probably half of one side of a frame that wasn't full of honey. There was a lot of pollen, and as I said, a lot of bees. What I also discovered on the bottom was a couple of what looked like a couple of new queen cells, 2 on one frame, and also on another frame there was what looked like to be a queen cell just forming. So the issue there is that they may well be preparing to swarm, but unfortunately I didn't do what I promised I'd do myself and wasn't prepared enough to do a split of the hive. So I did have a little nuke there which I could have used, but it wasn't open, or I wasn't ready, and also I couldn't actually locate the queen. So even if I was prepared and I did want to split the hive, I wasn't able to do that because I couldn't locate the queen. So look, what I decided to do was give them more space for nectar and honey, and I put the flow frames on top, the flow super. I put in with a queen excluder because one of the issues with a flow hive and the flow frames is that you don't want the queen actually laying up in the flow frame. So I have got an excluder on there. Now the risk is, and what I was worried about, is that the weather will get too cold, or the bees will move up in the top, or the worker bees, and they'll leave the queen below where she can't get to, and she'll freeze to death. I also had an issue back in January, February of this year, being new to beekeeping, where I actually killed off some queen cells because I didn't want them to swarm, and essentially I'd ended up that I didn't have a queen, and so I killed off my hive, and I had to go and get another swarm to add to the hive to bring it back to where it is. So I've got a really strong hive. I've got lots of pollen, I've got lots of brood, I've got lots of honey. So what I've done is I've put the flow hive on top, and I'm going to let them do their own thing, and I will come back and check it in a week or two and see how they're going. What I did see that already they'd gone straight up into the flow super, and they were already starting to work on the plastic, and they were already down in the actual cells and working on those cells. So I'm pretty confident they will be okay, but I will need to come back in 1 or 2 weeks, and I'll probably check on the weekend and make sure that they're doing okay.